Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Every time you switch from drafting an email to checking your calendar or finding an open slot and finally sending an invite, you are paying a tax.
Oh, totally. A huge tax.
Right. It's a hidden tax on your brain's processing power. Your momentum just vanishes. So welcome back to our deep dive. Today, we are exploring how voice AI has evolved into, well, the ultimate tax write-off for your cognitive load.
Which is something I think every professional listening right now is desperate for.
Absolutely. We're pulling our insights today from a really phenomenal article over at smartkeys.org. It's by Felix Römer, and it's titled Voice AI Assistance: Streamlining Tasks Through Voice Commands at Work.
Yeah, and it's a great piece. We're looking at how this tech went from a kitchen novelty, setting pasta timers, to a foundational enterprise-grade tool.
Okay, let's unpack this because the shift here is massive.
It really is. I mean, we are so far beyond the days of just shouting at a smart speaker and hoping it understands a rigid set of commands.
Yeah, volume up, volume down, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. What Römer outlines is a landscape where these systems are actively shaping how modern business gets done, moving from simple reactive tasks to proactive, really complex workflows.
But okay, knowing intent isn't enough if the AI can't actually touch your software. So how are these systems getting past the firewall to actually move a meeting or pull a report?
Well,
because if I'm in a busy office, how does the system even know I'm talking to it and not just the person in the next cubicle eating chips and, talking on the phone?
that is the crucial first hurdle, and it's handled by automatic speech recognition, or ASR. It's no longer just an open microphone capturing raw noise and hoping for a match.
Oh, wow. So it's more targeted.
Exactly. Modern ASR uses advanced acoustic models that essentially lock onto your specific vocal cadence. It filters out the background chatter by mapping the unique frequency and inflection of your voice in real time.
So it isolates my voice, but then it still has to figure out what my rambling, probably over-caffeinated sentence actually means.
Right, and that happens milliseconds later in Step 2 natural language processing, NLP.
Okay.
And this is where we move from a system that just hears words to a system that understands intent. Let's say you tell your assistant, move my 2 p.m. to Thursday.
A legacy system would just look for 2 p.m. and probably crash.
Exactly. It runs a keyword search for the exact string 2 p.m. and fails. But an NLP-driven system uses semantic understanding. It knows move means reschedule. It checks your calendar, identifies the 2 p.m. event, recognizes Thursday as the target destination, and understands the relationship between all those elements.
And because it holds that context, I can issue a follow-up prompt, right? I can just say, actually make it Friday instead, and I don't have to re-explain the whole 2 p.m. meeting thing.
Yes, exactly. It maintains conversational memory, and once the intent is clear, the platform moves to the execution phase.
Which is the scary part.
Well, it verifies your permissions first, then it pings its available integration layers like your CRM or your project management software and triggers the end-to-end workflow. And finally, it uses text-to-speech for a conversational reply, confirming the action.
Okay, but wait a second. If we shift gears to look at the actual tools executing these requests, giving an AI full access to auto-join my meetings and summarize them sounds like a massive liability.
It definitely can be if you aren't careful.
Right. So let's take Otter.ai, which Felix's article highlights for meeting triage. What happens if it hallucinates an action item? Or worse, just completely misinterprets a nuanced conversation about a sensitive project?
Yeah, that is the exact tension businesses are navigating right now. Otter.ai has positioned itself as the definitive meeting agent. It automatically joins Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, all of that.
But the hallucinations?
You're totally right to be skeptical, but the tech mitigates this by tying every generated summary and action item directly to a time-stamped audio snippet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and a speaker-labeled transcript. So it's not just generating a blind summary, it's providing an auditable trail.
So if an action item looks weird, you just click it?
Exactly. You click it, and it plays back the exact 5 seconds of audio where that task was supposedly assigned.
Okay, that makes it much more practical. It's essentially an executive assistant that provides its own citations.
Dot dot.
And from the source material, the business tier for this is running around $8.33 per user per month.
Which is incredibly cheap when you break it down.
Seriously.
Yeah.
When you calculate the hourly rate of an employee, let's say they make $40 an hour, right? And they spend 20 minutes after every call typing up notes.
Right.
That's roughly $13 of company time per meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The ROI on that $8 monthly license is pay off in the first 15 minutes of the month.
The economics of it are undeniable for internal productivity, but the dynamic changes completely when we look at customer interactions. Well, internal tools rely on your team knowing how to speak to the AI. Customer-facing voice AI has to handle complete unpredictability.
Oh, sure. Which brings us to Zendesk and Poly AI. The article mentions Zendesk's voice AI is built for call deflection. But I have to ask, phone trees are universally awful.
They really are.
Right. How is this any different from a customer screaming representative into the receiver while a robot says, "Press 1 for sales"?
It's a complete paradigm shift. Traditional phone trees force the customer into rigid lanes based on keywords. Modern call deflection uses vector databases.
Vector databases. Okay, what does that mean for the caller?
It means it doesn't just look for the word billing. It instantly matches your panicked, rambling sentence about a break-in router and a flashing red light directly to the exact technical manual that solves the problem.
Wow.
It understands the semantic meaning of your frustration.
So it's mapping the underlying problem, not just the vocabulary.
Yes. It resolves common inquiries without a human ever needing to pick up the phone. And by the way, the article mentions Zendesk offers a 14-day trial for this, so companies can actually test that semantic matching risk-free.
That's huge. But what if they actually need a human?
When a human is needed, the system executes a seamless agent handoff. It captures the transcript, summarizes the customer's issue, and passes all that context to the live agent's screen before they even say hello.
So the customer never has to repeat their issue. I love that.
Exactly.
And for true enterprise-level scale, the article mentions Poly AI doing this across 45 different languages.
Yeah, Poly AI is fascinating because they build model-driven, voice-first agents designed specifically for high-volume support.
Like huge call centers.
Right. Imagine a global shipping company during a weather crisis. Poly AI can handle 10,000 simultaneous calls about delayed packages, reference the real-time shipping database, authenticate the users securely, and provide updates in dozens of languages.
All without translation latency.
Exactly, all without translation latency.
Okay, so we have Otter for notes, Zendesk, and Poly AI for customer interactions. But what about broad reasoning?
What do you mean?
Like, what if I don't need a specific task executed, but I just need an assistant to help me think through a problem? Say I'm driving to work and I need to summarize a massive 50-page PDF before a 9 a.m. meeting.
Gotcha. For broad Q&A and multimodal reasoning, the article points to ChatGPT with Voice and Google's Gemini.
Right.
Gemini's Pro plan, for instance, integrates directly into Google Workspace. You can be in your car, issue a voice command to open a specific Google Doc, and ask the AI to verbally summarize the key risks outlined on page 40.
That is wild. You are essentially having an interruptible hands-free debate with your own documents.
You really are.
But here's what I don't get. Work doesn't just happen in the office anymore. We live in a hybrid world. The source material breaks down the ecosystem tools we use to manage daily friction. Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, Bixby.
The big players.
Yeah. So what does this all mean for our setups? Is it better to mix and match the best-in-class tools like a tech buffet, or are we better off surrendering to a single ecosystem?
What's fascinating here is that there is a massive architectural difference between these platforms. You have to choose based on your tolerance for data exposure.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Broadly speaking, you're navigating the friction of integration versus the security of your data. If you lean into third-party powerhouses like Alexa or Google Assistant, you get massive flexibility.
Because they connect to everything.
Exactly, almost every smart device and software platform on the market. But they rely heavily on cloud processing.
So to use an analogy, it's like a local bank vault versus an armored car. Apple's ecosystem, with Siri, prioritizes on-device processing. Your voice commands for timers, messages, or smart lights are processed locally on the silicon inside your iPhone or Mac. It's like keeping your money inside a local bank vault in your own house. Using a cloud assistant, on the other hand, is like putting your money in an armored car and driving it down the highway to a central bank. It might be heavily encrypted and secure, but it is fundamentally exposed during transit.
That is an excellent way to visualize it. Apple minimizes your cloud exposure, but the trade-off is that the bank vault is smaller.
Right, fewer integrations.
You have far fewer third-party integrations compared to Amazon or Google. You have to map your must-have features, whether that's complex routines or fast web lookups, to the ecosystem that actually supports them natively.
So you aren't forced to rebuy all your hardware just to get things to talk to each other.
Exactly. Samsung users have Bixby for SmartThings. Android users have Google Assistant for Nest. You kind of have to pick your lane.
Okay, so let's take this out of the theoretical and bring it to the actual floor. This is where the strategy becomes actionable. Having the tool is one thing. Knowing how to leverage it to reclaim your time is another.
And this is where we move from saving seconds to saving hours. Felix's article highlights how integrating voice AI with calendar optimizers completely changes your workday.
Oh, like motion, reclaim, or clockwise?
Yes.
I always wondered how those actually functioned in a voice-first setup, because they use AI to actively manage your schedule, cluster your meetings, and automatically block out focus time.
Right, and when you layer voice commands on top of them, the interface friction disappears. You don't open an app to move a meeting. You just tell your assistant, block a 90-minute focus slot for the Q3 report, or reschedule my 3 p.m. and add a note that I'm waiting on the budget approval.
It handles the calendar Tetris entirely hands-free.
Entirely hands-free. And it extends into the physical environment, too. The article talks about triggering room scenes.
Oh, I love this part.
You can walk into your home office, say 2 words like, start stand-up, and launch a massive automated macro.
Yes. Let's break down the routing of a command like that, because in less than a second, the AI pings your smart hub to turn on your overhead lights. It sends an API call to Zoom to launch your personal meeting room.
Yeah.
It pings Slack to post the meeting link in your team's general channel. And it opens your Notion project board on your main display.
It's incredible.
That sequence used to take 4 minutes of clicking and context switching. Now it takes 800 milliseconds. But here's where it gets really interesting. The article insists on a very specific order of operations to make all that work, right? It lays out an integration playbook. And the golden rule is that you must link your Google or Microsoft calendar first. Why the calendar before the task managers?
Because your calendar is the ultimate source of truth for your availability and your presence. If you link the calendar first, it becomes the central nervous system that dictates all the other automations.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Right. Once the AI knows where you are and who you are meeting with, then you connect your project management tools and your team chat.
It creates a seamless stream. You allow your meeting tools to auto-join, and then the assistant can push those transcripts to Slack, extract the action items, and create tasks in Asana or Jira. The administrative routing happens automatically.
Exactly.
But let me stop you there, because giving an AI the keys to your calendar, your Slack, and your meeting transcripts sounds like an absolute security nightmare if you don't have guardrails.
This raises an important question, honestly. It is a massive liability, and it's the most critical part of the deployment strategy.
Yeah.
Because it simply does not matter how fast you can schedule a meeting if you are violating corporate policy or compromising sensitive client data.
Right. If a smart speaker in a shared conference room accidentally captures a confidential financial discussion, and you don't have the admin controls to locate and purge that transcript, you are facing severe compliance issues.
Precisely. Before rolling any voice AI system out, businesses have to meticulously map what data is collected and who has access to it. You must audit how the data is encrypted at rest and in transit.
What about keeping the data?
You need to check the retention windows. Meaning, is there an automatic deletion protocol so transcripts aren't kept longer than legally necessary?
And you have to verify which features are using that safe on-device processing we talked about and which are sending audio files up to the cloud.
Yes. And from a human resources standpoint, explicit consent flows are mandatory. You cannot just deploy an AI that auto-joins and records meetings.
Right. People need to know.
You have to implement explicit opt-ins. And for regulated industries, your compliance officers need to be able to audit those approval logs.
You know, the source material also brought up something I hadn't even considered: safe phrasing rules.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
It's a complete behavioral shift. You have to actively train your human staff not to read sensitive information aloud if a voice assistant is active. You literally have to teach people to stop saying the server password is, or reading account numbers out loud in the office.
It's a major cultural adjustment.
Yeah.
And from an IT perspective, role-based access and admin audit logs are non-negotiable.
Especially in healthcare or finance.
Exactly. If you are operating under regulations like HIPAA, having an ironclad audit trail of what was captured, who accessed the transcript, and how quickly it was deleted upon request is literally the only legal way to deploy this technology.
Okay, so we've covered the mechanics, the incredible capabilities of these tools, and the very real security guardrails. Let's bring this down to a concrete, boots-on-the-ground action plan for anyone listening who wants to implement this in their upcoming week. How do we actually start without getting overwhelmed?
Well, Felix provides a highly practical setup plan. The golden rule for week 1 is this: start small. Do not try to automate your entire digital life by Friday.
Good advice for pretty much any software.
Right. Pick one assistant and one repeatable workflow.
So just focus on auto-capturing meeting notes, or just focus on making hands-free calendar edits. Connect the calendar on day one so the permissions are set, and just leave the rest alone.
Exactly. And the article suggests documenting a short, standardized command list. Pin it in your team chat or your company wiki.
Wait, why standardize it? Doesn't the NLP understand natural language anyway?
It does, but standardization reduces the margin for AI hallucination. If everyone uses the exact same phrasing like create task versus make a to-do, it dramatically improves the consistency of the API calls being made to your software.
Oh, I see.
Standardization is key to early adoption. And during this first week, you need to actively measure the impact. If your goal was to use voice prompts to block focus time, look at your calendar on Friday and track exactly how many hours you recovered.
Because you want to see that return on investment quickly, so you don't just abandon the system.
Yes. And then, at the end of that first week, you execute a day 7 review. You check the metrics. Did your follow-up rates improve? But more importantly, you have to look closely at the failures.
Check the logs.
Dig into the logs. Did the assistant mishear a command? Did 50% of the team get frustrated and stop using it by Wednesday?
You also have to test for physical failures, right? The article mentions planning redundancy for Wi-Fi outages. Because if your entire start-stand-up routine relies on the cloud, and the edge computing fails or the office internet drops, you need to know how to physically turn the lights on and launch Zoom manually.
Exactly. You address the gaps in that small pilot group before you scale the rollout to the rest of the company. You expand with confidence based on hard metrics and refined workflows rather than just flipping a switch and hoping for the best.
It really is a comprehensive blueprint for taking back control of your time. We've gone from the raw physics of acoustic speech recognition all the way to a tested, secure corporate rollout.
It's a fundamental shift in how we interface with our work.
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about where this is heading.
Okay, where are we going?
Right now, we're using Voice AI to auto-join our meetings, summarize our notes, and assign tasks to our human colleagues. But as these natural language models become even more autonomous and deeply integrated into our calendars, how long until our respective AI assistants are simply negotiating our schedules, shifting our focus blocks, and debating project deadlines with each other in the background entirely without us?
That is a brilliant and honestly slightly terrifying thought. A whole secondary layer of invisible administration happening silently while we actually do the deep work.
It's closer than we think.
Well, thank you for tuning into the SmartKeys podcast. If you are listening and you want to stay ahead of the curve as this technology evolves, make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen.
Yeah, you won't want to miss what's coming.
Definitely. And I highly urge you to read Felix Römer's full article. It has a fantastic deployment checklist and decision framework that we only just scratched the surface of today. You can find the link to smartkeys.org right in the show notes. Until next time, keep optimizing and go claim that hidden tax write-off on your context switching.